Hi guys, welcome to iSimplify. Keynes' approach to determine the demand for money is based on money's two important functions, medium of exchange and store of value. Keynes lists the following three motives for holding money. Transactions motive, which includes income motive and business motive, precautionary motive and speculative motive. Let's start with transaction motive. This motive refers to the demand for money by the public for engaging in transactions of all kinds. The amount of money held for the transactions motive depends on the following factors: level of income, time interval, price level, and volume of employment. The transactions motive is further classified as follows. Income motive. It refers to the transaction's demand for money by earners of wages and salary to carry out transactions of all kinds such as rent payments and electricity bill payments. Money held for this purpose declines over the income interval period, the income at the end of the period being zero. For example, an employee receives a salary of Rs 20,000 every month. His monthly expenses include rent, food, movies, books and stationery. In the first month, he deposits Rs 20,000 in the bank. The money is withdrawn for various purposes and the account runs down to zero over the course of the month. Business motive. It refers to the demand for money by business firms to carry out their day-to-day transactions such as payment of electricity bills, rent, raw materials and wages. The money held by the firm declines over a period of time. For example, Uber has raised USD 11.5 billion in capital up to 2016. It is raising funds for fuel global expansion to prepare itself for the rising number of regulatory battles and for its aggressive price cutting and marketing promotions. Precautionary motive refers to the desire of people to hold on to cash balances for unforeseen contingencies such as sickness and accidents. Similarly, businessmen keep cash in reserve to survive unfavorable conditions or to gain from unexpected deals. The transactions and precautionary motives of holding money are primarily influenced by level of income. For example, an earning member of a nuclear family may invest in an LIC life insurance product to cover his or her risks and unforeseen events. Thus, in the event of his or her death, his or her family will receive the maturity amount. Keynes combined the transactions and precautionary demand for money, which can be expressed as L1 is the function of Y, where L is demand for money due to transactions and precautionary motives, and Y is the income. The equation shows that L1 is a function of income, that is, the demand for L1 may change with a change in income level. The demand for money for transactions and precautionary motives is inelastic. The ML1 line indicates that the transactions and precautionary demand for money is unaffected by changes in the rate of interest. The transactions and precautionary demand for money is known as the demand for active cash balances. The last motive is speculative motive. Speculative simply means guessing the change in value of assets to make profits. It relates to the desire to hold on to one's resources in liquid form to take advantage of future changes in the interest rate or bond prices. It is called asset demand for money and is related to the store of value function of money. It is income elastic. At a higher rate of interest, less money is held for this motive and vice versa. The changes in the market rate of interest and security price can be expressed as P equals R by M into N, where P is market price of security, R is return on the security, M is the market rate of interest, and N is the original price of the security. For example, if R is 10% and M is 15%, then P equals 0.10 by 0.15 into 100, which equals 66.66. For example, Mr. X wants to invest in bonds. At an interest rate of 2%, he will get Rs 1020 in a year's time in exchange for Rs 1000 in cash now. That is, by buying a bond that pays Rs 1020 in a year now. However, he expects or speculates the interest rate to rise from 2% to 10% shortly. At 10%, investing Rs 1000 in cash now will get him Rs 1100 in a year's time. Hence, Mr. X holds on to the money until the rate increases to 10% and then decides to invest. People do not hold on to cash when the rate of interest is high because the opportunity cost of holding idle cash is high. Security prices at the time of high interest rates are low, which induces investors to purchase them. Thus, the speculative demand for money depends on the rate of interest, that is, L2 is a function of R, where L2 is the speculative demand for money and R is the rate of interest. L2 and R are inversely related. The speculative demand for money, LP, and its relationship with interest rates can be diagrammatically expressed as LP is measured on the x-axis and interest rate is denoted on the y-axis. At interest R, only OM quantity is demanded. At a lower interest, that is R dash and R double dash, OM1 and OM2 quantities are demanded respectively. Point T onwards, the demand for LP becomes perfectly elastic. This situation is known as a liquidity trap. At a low rate of interest, the speculative demand for money becomes perfectly elastic, which results in a liquidity trap. X-axis represents demand for money, whereas rate of interest. 2% is considered to be the lowest rate below which the market rate of interest would not decline. Up to point T, the L2 curve is sloping downwards up to point T, indicating an inverse relationship between the speculative demand for money and the market rate of interest. At point T, the L2 curve becomes horizontal and the horizontal part of the curve shows the liquidity trap. This explains the perfectly elastic speculative demand for money. At such a low interest rate, people prefer to hold on to cash instead of purchasing bonds because of the fear of an imminent decline in bond prices. Thank you, and be simplified.